Hi, my name is Sean Shaler. That's my friend Jesse Lobbs, and we are so excited.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. I probably butchered that. We're so excited that you came to watch and or listen to Pokemalarkey. This is episode 27. It's called Hypno's Naptime, and it is weird AF. But before we get to this weird AF nonsense, Jesse, how you doing? What have you been playing? What have you been enjoying?
Well, for the past week, I have only been playing uh, Pokemon Shining Pearl, and I'm having a blast. Fortunately, they planned it really well to come out right before Thanksgiving holiday, so that's all I've done. And you know what? Having a blast.
That is classic good Nintendo timing. And you yourself, you're doing well. You're good, happy, healthy.
I am, you know, Hunter x Hunter, where they say Kurapika is drowning in a sea of unending uh, unending. Damn it! What is it? That's what's happening to me. I'm drowning in a sea of indescribable sorrow. I'm sorry, Hunter x Hunter fans. You all know it, and I'm
But
sorry for butchering it.
you're smiling while you say it, so it's really hard to believe you. I
And
I've
I'm fine.
not. It part of life, work, and all that stuff. I've not watched Hunter x Hunter yet. I've been told I should. What I am doing currently, and I think you'll be okay with it, is I'm watching Yu Yu Hakusho, and it is
Yes.
it is very good. But so Chris Ford, my friend from my other podcast, and we'll talk to Chris next week. That's pretty exciting. Said, Sean, I
Yay.
think you really like this protagonist. I know you're kind of weird sometimes. I was like, yes, I am, but you should watch this. And I watched like the first episode, and I typed back to him. I was so angry. I was like, Chris, I effing hate this guy. He's so annoying. And if you love Yu Yu Hakusho, just think back to, all right, if you'd never seen it before and you just watched the first episode, think about that. And after having somebody tell me that I was going to like him, I was like, Chris, I hate you. I hate this person. And then he's like, no, just give it a few more. And now I'm totally in. It's very good. I don't know that it's going to like scratch my top tier or anything, but I'm totally engaged and very much enjoying it. And therefore, I'm also doing well because it's entertaining me and because life is, generally good
I
and all that.
I still need to watch Yu Yu Hakusho. I know of it and I've seen a couple episodes, but I haven't given it the old college try.
It seems my perception of the general like consensus is that tends to be very good. Like it's hard, you'll be hard pressed to find somebody who's like, no, that's dumb and I hate it. It's like if you watch, it seems like if you watch and enjoy anime and that type of thing, that you'll probably enjoy that
That type
just
of thing.
yeah, that's just my perception so far. I personally do enjoy it because the protagonist is growing but has some like kind of funny relatable things, but in an exaggerated anime way, of course.
All right. I will raise you. I just started My Hero Academia,
Okay.
and I was not expecting to love it as much as I do.
I love season 1. After that, I'm more like I still watch it as the dubs come out. I still watch and follow along. I'm a little behind right now. But I really enjoyed season 1. After that, I'm kind of it's like it's still
There
good.
is a hearty and healthy sea of Midoriya, Deku, and Kachan, Bakugo, like fan fiction out there. There are a lot of
There's
girls,
some
teen girls, I assume, who really love the idea of those two getting together.
they have that
I will
polar
say,
polar
thanks,
opposites attraction.
thank you, fanfic. Thank you, fan fiction writers who plunge the deep, dark recesses of your dark and lusty minds to give us beautiful things like Bottom Peter Parker, an archive of our own. I appreciate all of you for all the things you do. Thank you.
I think it's awesome that you're dropping those references, and I'm glad that you are enjoying it. I'll let them know what you hear about the seasons after season 1. I'm looking forward to that.
I just started season 2, so I'll tell you soon.
Excellent. Jesse, we have rambled quite enough. Would you please care to give us a synopsis of episode 27, Hypno's Naptime?
Hypnos. Oh no.
Hypnotoad.
Hypnos. Why? What is wrong with me? Hypnos nap time. Okay. So we once again arrive at a new city because all our heroes do for half of the show is just wander around from city to city. Ash gets there and is quickly confused for an Arnold by a woman who quickly realizes it's not her missing son Arnold. It is in fact sad protagonist Ash Ketchum. It's from this interaction that Ash and the team, Misty and Brock and Pikachu, discover that a lot of children have gone missing. So Officer Jenny and Nurse Joy, with talking with them, they realize what's going. They start figuring out what's going on and try to help. Pikachu starts to get lethargic and begins to somewhat fall asleep, and they find out that these are sleep waves. That's the result of some Pokemon somewhere, and they think that this is why the children are going missing. They're basically sleepwalking off. Officer Jenny appears and notices that these sleep waves have definitely causing the events to happen. In the same city, we have Team Rocket, of course, following our friends everywhere, and they see an opportunity here, thinking, ooh, whatever Pokemon is emitting these powerful sleep waves must clearly be a powerful Pokemon. So we've got to capture it and turn it over to the boss because this is what the boss will want. Our gang follows the sleep waves to a mansion on top of a very tall skyscraper. Our team meets a club who reveal themselves to be the Pokemon Lovers Club, and they've got a Drowsy and a Hypno there at the top of the tower. And they explain that they're trying to evolve their other Drowsy into a Hypno, hoping it will put them to help because it will helps them sleep better. So these are the kind of Pokemon fans you encounter all throughout the games, the crazy ones who are really intense about one particular Pokemon. And in this situation, it ends up being Hypno. But Brock explains that using Hypno for this kind of activity, using them all willy-nilly, primarily causes Pokemon to weaken and people who are not as strong as an adult to fall under the power of those psychic waves as well. Team Rocket shows up. They net Drowsy and Hypno. But, of course, Misty and Ash think quick on their feet. Staryu cuts the net, and Pidgeotto blows Team Rocket away, blasting off once again. They use Drowsy to wake up the sleeping children, and Psyduck appears, and the Psyduck is still holding his head. And they wonder, oh, wow, clearly Psyduck is still affected. And Misty's like, oh, poor baby. And then they tell Misty that that's just how Psyduck always is. And Misty's furious. She drops a Pokeball. And what does Psyduck do? Waddle on over there and lets himself get captured. And it's a beautiful beginning to a long and arduous headache.
This episode is wacky from beginning to end. And if you don't care, I'm just going to list wacky things.
Please go ahead.
The Pokemon Lovers Club is just all rich people by coincidence, so you're only allowed to be in the club if you're rich. They're all insomniacs, all of them, just another. So they weren't the Insomniacs Club who love Pokemon. They're the Pokemon Lovers Club, and they happen to be insomniac. They have a sick mansion on the roof of a skyscraper.
On the roof of a skyscraper.
The roof of a skyscraper. Team Rocket's going to try to use a mirror to have Hypno knock itself out, which is kind of fun. And they are going to use the Hypno. This is my favorite part. They weren't going to give the Hypno to the boss, Jesse. They were going to use Hypno to knock the boss out long enough for them to take a vacation. That's their evil plan. Yes, that's this episode. And then Psyduck catching itself. I like to invent some backstory for Psyduck here. I like to think that Psyduck was with an abusive owner and that he caught himself for Misty to get away from some other asshole. And so Misty doesn't know it yet, but she's really doing him a favor. That's how I like to wrap up this episode in my head.
Can we also call out where Misty's just kind of curious about Hypno's hypnosis and gets hypnosis enacted on her and begins barking like a seal.
It's adorable. Also, does nobody ever go to that park during the daytime? Like, no adults are wandering by thinking like, there's a lot of strange people sounds coming from that park.
I guess not. God.
But the thing is, this episode still amuses the crap out of me. I would never say it's good. I'd never be like, hey, you need to go watch this episode of Pokemon. It's very random and specific. But when I watch it, it brings me joy.
I love watching Drowsy use its psychic powers. I love watching this is an older cartoon. It's certainly not one that's known for like when you think of anime with great art and special effects, you don't immediately go, Pokemon.
Yeah, that's yes, this is high quality art animation right here.
Drowsy's like the psychic rings are actually really cool looking, I think.
Yeah.
I love watching them.
They have like a sonic beam attack kind of vibe to them. It's very strange.
Even though very Drowsy is one of the creepiest looking motherfuckers.
He is in his little finger twirl that he does.
Yep.
And I think in the video games, eventually he gets the finger twirl, and it kind of makes me laugh, but also kind of horrifies me.
Hypno too. Hypno looks like an old magician.
But Hypno, the good thing about Hypno is if you are playing those old Pokemon games and you get yourself a Drowsy, I don't remember what level they're usually at because it's been too long, but I know they're usually fairly fast to evolve, and that a good Hypno will carry you a long way in that game. So would recommend. Jesse, last wacky thing that I forgot to mention, there's some fourth wall breaks in here.
Dude,
yeah.
There's like two fantastic ones.
And I don't remember if we've had a lot prior, but I don't think we've ever had them like this heavy-handed.
No, we haven't. There's the one about James asked, why haven't we done this before? And Jesse says we have to fill a half hour.
Yes, that's what it is.
Which is a classic cartoon joke.
Yes,
Looney Tunes has done it. SpongeBob has done it. Like it's a classic.
But usually stuff that does it is not a serialized show. And I know calling Pokemon serial is a little kind of elusive, but it is, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect that from Pokemon, I guess.
What is it? And then the narrator congratulates Misty on catching Psyduck. The narrator, and she's like, "Don't congratulate me."
And the best part is that's more Pokemon than Ash has caught in like 3 episodes.
And she didn't even ask for it.
She didn't. It's since Ash caught, I guess, Mankey or Primeape, I suppose.
Primeape.
Yeah. So, Jesse, the only thing here is I don't really know what to do with Ash. He didn't do anything horribly stupid that stood out. He didn't do anything terribly bad. I don't really know what to do with him here. Do you just give him a C, like thanks for showing up and not ruining things?
I'll give him a B.
Just for not being...
Just for not being as bad as usual.
You know what? We don't always line up, but I'm going to go with you on this one. He didn't ruin a thing. He kind of helped solve a mystery. He didn't hurt it. So, yeah, I'll go B.
He did more good than ill, which is rare.
Next time, maybe roll a Pokeball at that Psyduck, Ash, and then we'll give you an A. Honestly, if you roll a Pokeball at a Psyduck, we'll toss an A your way.
That would be on brand. Throwing the Pokeball
just directly at its head. Yeah. Well, I think unless you have some final thoughts, let's go to the next thing.
Let's go to the next thing. This is just this is a fun episode, but it's also just like, to be honest, when I started rewatching it, I had forgotten it completely. So
there's just too many weird things, and there's not a lot of long-standing impact or anything. Yeah, I get it. Well, that's okay. In that case, let's move on to our Poke-adjacent topic, which, as always, Poke-adjacent, we're not trying to inform or persuade or be useful at all. We're just paying a nice homage to something. And this week, because it's after Thanksgiving, so a couple days after, but Thanksgiving episode part 2, Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, if you're into that sort of thing. We wanted to say and note just a couple of nerdy things in our lives that we are grateful for in the moment, I think we've kind of decided, like in the larger pandemic, we've survived another year of just horrible life atrocities, and we're here. And what's some of the things that have helped get us there beyond loved ones and family and friends who, yes, we are also grateful for those. Do you want to go back and forth? Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Let's go back and forth. Let's ping pong it.
Let me go first. I'm ready. I'm ready to do this.
Go.
I've been playing D&D. I just finished up my first D&D campaign with some of my oldest friends. We did it virtually. It was a lot of fun. I don't necessarily love every facet of it, but I very much enjoy, as people will tell you, that kind of fun team buildery social aspect and getting to spend lots of time with those friends. And yes, I enjoy all things high fantasy, so of course D&D.
Very fun. I have been enjoying playing so many new video games on the PS5, and chiefly among them, I'll say Tales of Arise by Bandai Namco.
Ooh.
It's very good. It's got a great storyline. Its effects are way more impressive than I expected. Loving it. Also, high fantasy. Kind of sci-fi, kind of fantasy. A
Okay.
good combination.
I usually prefer the straight high fantasy, but if you want to mix some aliens in there, I'm down.
Hmm.
Jesse, my second thing I'm going to call out is a game that I just got for the Switch that it got kind of bad reviews, and I thought for the longest time about getting it because I thought it looked good, but the reviews were bad. And I'm like, eh. But I finally just got it, and I played it, and I'm really glad I did. It's called Kingdoms of Amalur, and it is essentially a kind of older, like a 10-year-old action hack and slash RPG. And the reason that people don't like it on the Switch is because basically nothing was updated or anything like that, right? They just kind of spat out an old game on a new system, and that made people mad. I really like
Oh,
it.
I love that. I'm fine with that.
I have no issue putting myself back 10 years ago because that's mostly still where my brain lives. And
Yeah.
I finally pulled the trigger, and I've been putting some serious hours into it on the Nintendo Switch, and I'm thoroughly, thoroughly enjoying it.
That's great. I'm looking that up. Um, my next thing I'll say is I have really been enjoying the Star Wars High Republic books. I have finished the second arc of those books, and I'm very excited for the last of it. We are all the Republic. The High Republic is fantastic, and if you're not reading them and you're a Star Wars person, you're really missing out.
That's fantastic. Jesse, my third and last thing is many other podcasts. I'm a big podcast fan, or video vodcast, whatever you want to call it in our case. And so I was going to call it the two that I listen to the most. And they're my two favorites. One is called Retro Warriors, and they are specifically retro video game themed.
Mm.
And then the other one is probably a little more popular, and they're called Wizard and the Bruiser, and they're more still nerdy, all things nerdy, but not just within video games by any stretch. You know, they'll do a comic book series one week and a TV series next week, a video game next week. Just kind of an assortment of nerdy things. And those are my two weekly ones that like I listen to a lot more, but I look forward to those every Monday. They make my Mondays a little more enjoyable. For almost basically when the pandemic started, it's probably when I started picking both of those up.
That's great. I think it's not for quite as long, but similarly, I have been keeping up with a few dubs each week as I get new dubs for these handful of shows. I've been watching them and I'm really enjoying the characterization of these dubs. I'm obsessed with Back Arrow, which I've mentioned before, I think, on the podcast. It is just a wild, silly ride. Do not expect anything to be makes sense. It's all ridiculous and very dramatic, but it's fun. And then, oh my God, why have I lost? Why have I lost the name of the other one?
I know which one you're thinking of, but I don't remember the name either. But you definitely told me about it, and you told me to watch it, and it's been a long time, and I also
Oh
didn't.
God, I don't know if I. So the other one that in particular I'm thinking of is the case study of Vanitas, which is a vampire manga and anime set in like late 1800s Paris, and it's so stupid and fun. I'm enjoying it a lot too. It's getting me through the hellscape that is the real world.
Amen. Need some of those lighted,
You need art
goofy,
to get you through.
those lighthearted, goofy things that make no sense to get us through some otherwise outlandish times that we have to actually exist in.
Exactly.
Jesse, at some point, Chris and I want to have you on a Last Podcasters episode because Chris wants to talk about some of his favorite anime with you. And it's not that I refuse to participate with him, it's just that I'm an uneducated schmuck and I won't be able to contribute.
I would love to do that anytime.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. Thank you for indulging us in our poke-adjacent topic. We hope you'll sit down and, obviously, as we mentioned, thankful for all of our loved ones and family members and such. And we hope that you'll sit down and count your blessings and that things are going well for you. And that's our poke-adjacent topic.
Yeah.
It's also our Pokemalarkey episode. This has been 27. It is Hypno's Naptime, and that's in Pokemon Indigo League, the first season. I think we're like, halfway through the first season, give or take?
Give or take.
Something in that ballpark.
Yeah. Close.
And thank you so much for watching and hanging out with us. As always, I'll put contacty stuff down in the description. Happy Thanksgiving. Jesse, I will see you and all of our other friends, and I was going to say patrons. We don't have patrons. We have listeners, I guess, audience.
You can give me money anytime.
Send money Jesse's way. He loves money. And we'll see you all next time.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
See ya.